on, and we're gonna do it like we're doing it for the silver screen. Can y'all hear me out there? What's going on, family? How you feeling?
Yeah, everything's good, brother.
All right, all right, all right. Hey, yo, you know what? It's been real exciting, man. You know what I'm saying? To get a chance to finally meet you and sit down and build with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate.
First and foremost, I'm your host, guys. My name is LS from This Is Hip Hop Radio. And, you know, we are here to do our due diligence to this artist. He goes by the name of Keybone, straight from Nigeria. You know, Lagos, is that correct?
Yes, correct, brother.
That's right. That's right. I wanted to
But we
make
call
sure
it,
that
but
I
we call it
pronounced it
Lagos
correct.
though. Yeah, but we call it Lagos, like
Lagos,
Lay.
Lagos, Lagos. See,
Yeah,
that's what
correct.
I didn't want to mess it up like that.
It's all good. It's all
But
good.
you know, I want you guys to give a round of applause for my man because he's here, and let's give him a round of applause before we start this interview.
Respect.
Let's also let everybody to, if you don't know my motto, is tell a friend to tell a friend. That is him again, and share this live. If you see that little airplane right there, we want you guys to share this with your favorite people so we can get right to it and everybody can be aware of what's going on. So I understand that you know it's a big time difference from over here, man. We 8 hours behind you guys, man.
Yeah, but it's all good. It's still one world regardless.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And first and foremost, man, I definitely wanted to let you know that None Like Me is doing real good. You know, on the charts that we have here. You know what I'm saying? We also put it in Fire or Trash, and nobody trashed it. You know what I'm saying? So we want to give that. You know, we want to definitely show some love. And also number one, you're number one. They really like that too.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate the love and support. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir. Yes.
much.
Yes, sir. So, really quick, I want to take it all the way back to the beginning, and talk about Lagos, right? Is that where you're originally from?
Not really. I'm originally from a place called Ekiti State in
Okay,
Nigeria, but I was born and raised in Lagos State. So
copy.
I can say I'm from Lagos, but you know where we from around here is always we always identify by our place of origin. We call it state of origin. Then if I'm to go by that, I'm actually originally from Ekiti State, but I can also say where I was born and raised. That's where I'm from as well.
Okay, okay. So so that's where we actually repping for real.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, perfect, perfect. You know, I didn't want to mess anything up. You know what I mean? It's like
It's all
doing the
good. It's all
research,
good.
but the research only gives you but so much. So that's why we got to come to the artist, you know, the horse's mouth, as we say.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
True.
Yes, sir. So, growing up, you know, what type of music were you actually listening to in the home? You know what I'm saying? What were you exposed to, so to speak?
Well, it's actually a wide range of music. You know, we have our own local Fuji, then we have the contemporary jazz, which was more like Afrobeat. It kind of morphed into Afrobeat after a while.
Yeah.
And I listened to a whole lot of hip hop and R&B growing up, like 90s hip hop and R&B kind of shaped my taste in music. Then I kind of realized this is what I want to listen to. This speaks to me, and I can actually interpret this much better than the other African subgenres that we had at that time. And hip hop was big in the 90s, and I'm an 80s baby, so I had no choice but to just go with hip hop.
Okay, okay, that's fair. Now, what made you gravitate towards hip hop? And when I say that, it's because of just piggybacking off of what you said, what related to you, right? So, what made you gravitate towards hip hop? Was it the message that was in hip hop, or was it just the rebellions of what hip hop was about, as far as we were rebelling against, you know, the system and what was going on?
Well, the rebellious part one and two, hip hop had always been more of a culture, and it was one culture that had this thing where you had the opportunity to actually say what you want to say, and you could say it the way you want to say it. And because I grew up in the hip hop and R&B like sector, R&B kind of felt like it was about the heartbreak, it was about the love songs, and that kind of thing. Then hip hop felt like it was a little bit of that as well, but also you had you could speak about things people really wouldn't want to talk about, and you could get away with it quicker in hip hop because it was broad, and that was just what I fell in love with: the ability to say what you want to say in the most poetic way, and do it over a beat and still pass your message across. That works for
Um,
me.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of how it worked for me as well, right? Just being in the States, and I'm from New Jersey originally, so of course we know hip hop was created in the Bronx. A lot of people would beg to differ, but that's another conversation, right?
Yeah,
However, but
I
however,
understand.
that's exactly how it was a music, because I listened to an eclectic array of music as well in the home, right? But more so, I gravitated towards the culture of hip hop because I was living the culture without even knowing that I was living the culture. You know, we did the break dancing on the linoleum. We listened to the music. It was the graffiti, and especially the DJs were the ones that was popular. I didn't really get into
Yeah,
the rap part until I actually saw Run DMC on MTV. And then I had to be brought into um, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Like, I knew about them, but it wasn't that popular because I was really young. So
yeah.
with that being said, like, who introduced you to the hip hop? Like, who was the person, or what was the entity? Was it the radio, or was it someone who said, "Hey, listen, I got this tape"? How did you get introduced to the culture first and foremost? Basically, to the music or the culture. Let's say.
Yeah, for me, it was the radio.
Okay.
Growing up, we didn't really have a lot of TV time
Yes, sir.
because TV was like when I was much younger. TV didn't start popping until like 4 p.m. So it
Okay.
means TV would come on like 4 p.m. and TV would go off at 12 p.m. That was way before we had satellite TV that became 24/7. The only
Yeah.
thing that I knew that I could have access to like all the time was radio, and radio kept giving me loads of music. I mean, songs that I probably wouldn't even know I had heard. I mean, now, but there were just things that were happening over the time. And I think then, every weekend we used to have this Rick D's Top 40 that used to like play everywhere. So I kind of knew that, okay, as the week progresses, at the end of the week, you have an idea of like general top 40 songs in the world based on read these charts, and that would also expose me to some songs that probably didn't play on the radio, but they're like charting and popping songs. That was where I knew, okay, now listening to all these various genres of music, hip hop always had like some songs in the charts, and those hip hop songs were the kind of songs that I was always looking forward to listening to again, either one that I found on the chart last week or like a new entry. And I kind of started understanding, okay, this is what I would always want to do every time. And I started realizing that, okay, I think I like this artist. I like how this person sings the choruses. I like this lady. I like this guy. I like this DJ. Then I started having favorites after like hundreds or 200s, hundreds of artists that I listened to over time. Then I kind of realized, okay, I think even in the hip hop, I was gravitating more towards I wouldn't want to call it gangster rap, but those kind of hard, the ones that were
Yeah.
hard and they had
Absolutely.
the message. I wasn't really into the groovy, the ones that want to make you dance. I was just more about the ones that were either saying something that sounds like let's go start war, let's be
Yeah.
rebellious,
Yeah.
yeah. Then it kind of started shaping even the way I would also want to make my own kind of music. Then it goes on and on and on.
That's what's up. And what made you gravitate towards that? Was it the environment that you grew up in, or was it just because for me it was the environment that made me gravitate towards it? Because I said, okay, these guys. When I started listening to, first of all, when I listened to NWA, when I first heard NWA, I was afraid to let my parents know that I was listening to that. You know what I mean? I got scared, and I was like, I'm at the park and I'm listening to it it's in my headphones, and I think that my mother knows that I'm listening to this. So what made you gravitate towards like the more harder genre, so to speak?
Way back then, I mean, when I was like in the early 90s, when I was still a kid, Nigeria was like a fast-paced country that was just growing at a very rapid rate, and
Yeah,
we were having a lot of influences, especially in our culture. Like our culture is a big thing on its own, but we have lots of influences from Europe, from America, and people were just trying to get a hold of whatever they could get a hold of,
yeah,
as youngsters. So
yeah,
that was like a regular conversation amongst people. The dressing, we didn't really gravitate towards the graffiti thing because around here you can't just go and start painting and spray painting and things like that. That could be an
yeah.
offense. But the dressing was one thing that we quickly, the snapback, the baggy jeans, the big boots, Timberland boots and whatnot, the hoodies. So we're quick to, okay, pick what we could take from this. Take the outfits, take the dancing, take how the music is being made. So even then in Nigeria, we had a lot of people who were making hip hop music, like in the 90s as well. A lot of them kind of didn't make it that far because we had our own contemporary music that was popping, and the kind of music we were used to were like the high life, the kind of music where you have to perform at like pubs, bar, lounge, that kind of
Okay.
thing. And hip hop were records they were making straight for like radios, for straight for performances, straight for CDs. So it wasn't really accepted quickly, but over time people kind of got used to it. That okay, I think we see what these young guys are doing, and the support started coming, and hip hop kind of had its own like name in the Nigerian music sphere, and that was what I think really drew me. Like you said as well, I listened to a lot of the, let me use the word, East Coast West Coast kind of rap growing up, the NWAs, the Jay-Z's, and back and forth, the different PDDs, whatever, anything that was popping in America, we heard it real time, same time, and I kind of quickly knew that this sound works for me better than any other sound I had heard. I heard a lot of reggae growing up as well, but
Yeah.
reggae didn't just, it didn't, maybe because I didn't hear like enough.
Okay.
I mean, let me put it that way. Compared to the other song that I heard, like artists, I probably heard like 100 hip hop artists to like 10 reggae artists,
Yeah,
and
regular, yeah.
that kind of made me think, okay, I think I've heard enough of this to be able to live this life rather than the other genres I heard.
Oh, okay, okay. That's fair, and it's kind of like a lot of people's journey nowadays as well. That's how they gravitate towards it because you
Yeah,
guys said you guys really weren't able to I would say able to really do the graffiti and stuff like that, right? In
yeah,
Nigeria, it's a lot more contained and regulated as opposed to America. It's almost like it's anything goes, but you get caught, there's
yeah,
consequences, right? Especially
yeah,
in the slums, right? In the slums, it's more or less they don't really care too much about what's going on in the slums unless it's something that they have to come. And that's like more so if someone dies, right? And they're
yeah.
getting hundreds and hundreds of calls. So
Mhm.
yeah, so
I
and
understand.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy. So now it's more or less now these days the kids are getting a dose of just the music and they're not understanding that it's the way you walk, it's the way you talk.
Yeah,
It is, and
talk.
not only that,
Yeah,
there's five elements. You have to know your hip hop history. That's one. You got to know about DJing. You don't have to be a DJ, but you got to know about the DJ. You got to know
yeah,
about MCing. And then
yeah,
you also
yeah,
got to know how to break dancing. And then the graffiti goes
yeah.
hand in hand. Me personally, I
Yeah.
tried almost every one of them. You know, of course, I had the knowledge from just growing up in it.
Yeah.
But DJing and rapping and breakdancing was my forte. Really, the graffiti wasn't really that much. I wasn't that
Yeah, but it's all
artistic.
good.
Yeah. Um, so have you ever tried your hand at DJing or breakdancing? Have you ever tried that years ago?
I think I did a little bit of breakdancing when I was growing up though. I think I lost my mojo somewhere along the way. Maybe age caught up with me. I felt like, I think I gotta let this breakdancing go. Yeah, but DJing, I never tried DJing. I think the best I can do with DJing is just make up a playlist of like favorite songs and stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
growing up on the radio, what I kind of quickly gravitated towards was I could make, those days where you have to dub off the radio. I
yeah,
could, I could pick a DMX, FED, Rakim, kind of make a playlist like that and
yes, sir.
listen to it over and over and be like, I think I've got my like favorite A and B sides of a
Yes,
tape, and I could give it to like a friend to listen to and tell me what he thinks about, what I kind of cooked up. That was where my DJing probably ended. So it ended with playlisting, and but it's all good. I kind of picked up on the ability to create music side of it, which is all
yeah.
still good.
No, that's what's up. That's what's up. So, what made you say to yourself, this is what I always ask a lot of people. What was the moment where you said, damn, I got to get up in this rap game? What was that moment?
Yeah, for me, I used to listen to like a lot of songs that were made by my friends, and I would always give an input, not even like an A&R input. I would just give like a general input that I think maybe like a direction I think like the verse could have gone and stuff like that. And I had this one friend, his name is Kel, and he made a song and he played it for me one day. And no, he made an album, like him and a couple of friends, they had a mixtape. And I
Yeah,
listened to the mixtape over and over again, and I was giving input. And he said, why don't you want one of these days, let's go to the studio together and come and put a lot of these thoughts into writing. And
yeah,
that one moment kind of changed everything for me. Because when I went into the studio and I had an understanding of how music was made, then I had a total turnaround of how I actually viewed music now. Because I kind of left a consumer to being a producer of music. And I understood so many things nobody ever told me about how music was being created now. And I knew how much work had to go into what I'd listened to, like many songs I probably didn't even pay attention to. And I kind of knew, wow. So I also knew at some point that I had some messages I needed to also pass across that could only be said by me, or at least that could be created by me, and I would have to collaborate with other people who we could share the same ideas together. And I started,
hmm
coming up with things like that, and I started working around with, especially my friends who were in the same institution with me at that point in time. And I realized, okay, I can have an idea, but it's just an idea on paper. As soon as I bring it forward to someone who is a producer, he or she will not be like, okay, let's go about this direction. Then I understood the creative part. Like, I mean, the creative part now, I mean, the whole creative director part of music, which is actually beyond just writing the song. And they'll be like, you know what, this subject matter is good, but this cannot fly for these various reasons. We can't promote this. Like, here in Nigeria
yeah,
now,
yeah,
if I want to make a song about the government, I know it's just going to be a song about the government. It cannot get like a lot of radio airplay because there are bodies that will not let that kind of song fly. If you want to make a song that you want it to have a commercial success, there are templates for songs like that. And I started understanding there are things you would really want to say, and it's not like anybody's gagging you, but you genuinely wouldn't want to just go that route because that is not going to bring out any major success, especially for somebody who is just starting off. Then I kind of started understanding a lot of things that you could be on your own consumer side and critiquing an artist for not saying for not speaking up or doing some certain things because you're just a consumer. As soon as you become an artist, you have a different total view about it, and that kind of thing just kind of
absolutely.
started changing. It started changing how I just viewed music entirely, and I'm actually glad that I actually had that experience.
That's what's up. You know, and that's a good thing that you have that experience, because now when someone comes up under you, you can actually you can pass off that information. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense, you can
Yeah,
pass off that information. So I do
yeah,
know
that's
that
true.
one thing about you, you are originality is important to you, right?
Yes.
And when did that when did that actually get encrusted into your ideology when it comes to making music? Because there, like you said, there's a lot of people out there that'll follow the leader of what's working. That's what you
Yeah.
see right now in hip hop or just music in general, the cookie cutter effect, right? But with you, what made you say I have to implement originality?
Everything I've done prior to, even before I started writing music, always had a little bit of input of me in it. And
Okay.
as soon as I started writing music, I just realized it was easier for me to do things the way I intend to do them and
Okay.
live with the results. And that was just easy for me. So I listened to a lot of other artists just to broaden my perspective of a subject matter, a theme, a song, a flow, whatever it is. But what I believe would always stand out eventually is me. If I don't put a piece of me on paper, now on our tabs and our phones, or in a beat, in a song, genuinely, I don't think I've done justice to myself. And that was what actually started it for me. First, also, or secondly, I kind of realized early that we all have a very distinct, unique voice. The way you sound, you probably be the only one that will sound like that. Somebody else could sound like you, maybe somebody else in New York or in Detroit or wherever, but the person will not sound exactly like you. You could have someone who is like a 97% match. Somebody could want to mimic you now, and he or she would be at least maybe 96% match or thereabouts, but they would never be 100% of who you are or what you really sound like. Same thing applies to me. So as soon as I found my voice, which was basically from just how we speak, I realized when I'm to make a song, I speak the way I speak, and I have to write a song the way I speak. And when I go on the record, I have to voice this song the way I speak. So it's not difficult for me to be that person. The way I speak to you is the way I will speak on a beat. The only difference is on a beat now, I will try to be more musical rather than
Yeah.
just like in this conversation style. And that's it. And before you know it, they'll tell me, cut, it's a rap. And that's easy to do for me rather than trying to be somebody else, which and that would actually take a lot of strenuous effort to do, because now that's not me, my element. And why would I want to really do that when that's not going to be comfortable for me in my own skin? And finding my voice was just very easy for me.
Yeah, that's cool. How many languages do you speak? Because I do know that any of my brothers from Africa, from the motherland, anytime they're like, I speak three languages. How many? And some of them say, how many you speak at home? And I say two. The language that I'm speaking to you now and jive. Because
Well,
it's like it's not really it's not really taught, and it's by design. Spanish is start beginning to become a primary language here, but it's
yeah,
really
I realize that.
yeah, so it's really not taught in the school systems like that, or even at home, because you have we can go on and on about why it's not taught in the home, because we had
Yeah,
to come up under a different regime. And
yeah,
we're just now, it's 2022, and we're just now trying to find who we really are. So we have to deal with this type of broken English. But as far as you're
yeah.
concerned, how many languages do you speak? And this is a segue into the reason why I'm asking.
I speak three languages: English, Yoruba, and what you just called broken English. We call it broken English as well, but we also call it another name called Pidgin English.
Pidgin English.
I speak,
Okay.
yeah, I speak Pidgin English as well. And like you said now, I realized that Spanish is actually being taught now in American institutions. And same way, we actually had French taught to us while we were kids. But along the way, not everybody really picked up on it. Maybe after like age 8, 7, 8, 10, everybody just kind of, started gravitating more towards our motherland languages, because those languages were being spoken to in those our motherland languages by our grandparents and parents and siblings and environs, but we're not taught in school. But as soon as we, grew older and older, it became part of our curriculum. So we now
Yeah.
knew more about how to actually speak your native language. If I had picked up on, Nigeria has like tons of languages, like way too many languages that I don't even know about, and you can imagine in this country of ours, people speak so many diverse languages that I could be with a Nigerian now, and he or she would say, like, make a ton of sentences. I would not be able to pick out a word out of it. So it's
Yeah.
it's a good thing that Spanish is being taught now. I mean, kids from the next, let me say, next 20 years, they'll be more diverse in languages than people of this era now, and it's a good
Yeah.
thing.
It's a good thing because we only had to choose them as an elective. If you wanted to speak French, or if you wanted to, speak Spanish, and even Latin, it was as an elective. You had to choose it. But now it's becoming one of the primary languages in that's especially on the West Coast, right? But I also wanted to say, because East Coast, I mean, I grew up with everybody. I mean, it was a big community. You had it was all diverse. So it was hard for us, I would say, in my neighborhood where I'm from, to really be prejudiced or, racist, so to speak, because we went to school with everybody. Of course, we knew it existed, but we went to school with everybody. So and in my home, it wasn't taught. It wasn't taught in the home. So we deal with everybody on according to how they treat us. But I went into the language part is because, do you incorporate that in all of your music sometimes where you switch it up? Because I love when I hear somebody switch up the flow.
I don't really do that though, but I have a couple of songs that I've done that in the past. You
Yeah,
know, I'm actually trying to make my music more relatable to people outside my circle. So I limit a lot of language barrier that would actually hinder your music experience and what you can take away from the song. I have a couple of songs that I've done that in the past, and I actually wanted to just leave that for a while, and also help myself to you know, earn new followers, earn new listeners. Let me use the word listeners now. Acquire more listeners, grow outside myself and my environment, and see what that would do for me, rather than just limiting myself to just the same people, the same audience, the same people who understand the same language. And English language is broad, brother. Like, trust me, I don't even think I've scratched the surface of English language on its own in regards to making music. So I don't want to limit myself to just my people and my environment.
understood, understood. So that brings me to this next question of, in America, is it important to establish a presence in America as an artist for you, at least?
Yes, please. I'll give an example now. I grew up watching wrestling, and there was one thing I learned from wrestling. When I watch wrestling and they tell me these are the world best athletes, wrestlers now, it means until you make it to that wrestling stage, you're probably a local somewhere, or at most, maybe you're a continental champion somewhere. And that kind of happened in music as well. If an artist can break into some, maybe not only America though, but if you can break into some certain markets, it gives you like a leverage into a wider market. I'll give another example now. If this song now, not like me, let me say it makes it into top 200 Billboard charts, top 100 Billboard charts, that would introduce me to a newer audience entirely that I probably never knew existed, all because everybody's feeding from that American pool. American pool of talents, American pool of charts, and and that was what made me say, let me switch up from limiting my flows and my content and my language to just a specific audience and grow outside this my own people. And if I can break into the American cycle, at least I would. That's why we can actually have this call today now, because I made the conscious decision to reach out to you and make sure my song can pass through whatever systems you have, play or stop, whatever trash or play, whatever metrics you have, to actually judge it on a standard of, is this a 10 over 10 or should you try again? Because I'm putting myself through that test, I think it's helping me to get better, because now I'm trying to put myself in a very uncomfortable position, but it's going to be worth it eventually when I test myself in those new waters.
Definitely, definitely. And that's why also, I would encourage you, and also your listener, your supporters, if you guys can, make sure one of these days you tune into Fire or Trash. I know we're 6 hours behind you, and I go on at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But one of these days, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I do an early show for your supporters as well, so they can see what the people are doing in real time. Because we have the radio. For the people who listen to it on the radio, they're going to call up. But most of the people that are watching, you'll see in the comments in here on Instagram. That's why we do it that way. So, we want to create the visuals as well. We want to put the face to the name. And of course, the listeners, a lot of you guys, we're on Live 365 right now. All you got to do is go to the Live 365 app, go to This Is Hip Hop Radio, and you can listen as well. And you can listen to Keybone's music. The This Is Hip Hop Radio app is being built right now, so you could all you have to do is just type in This Is Hip Hop Radio really quick. But I wanted to also segue into a little bit of that, you being uncomfortable, putting yourself in an uncomfortable position in order to broaden your fan base, right? So and it's dope, because in Nigeria you got these guys like Vector, Black Bones, Olamide, all these guys, right? But what separates you from those guys? You know what I'm saying? What separates you from those guys?
One, we are more alike than we differ. That is actually the truth, because we all come from the same pool of DNA. Let me put it that way. But now, what separates me genuinely is I don't want to follow the crowd. I like what the crowd is doing. I like the way the crowd is cheering, but I want to make my own part. If eventually I become a pathfinder for a lot of people to follow, that's a win for me. I prefer to, let me use the word, travel alone. I prefer to go this route alone. I prefer to find myself in a place where I can say I made it to this place, not by following whatever template that had been built prior to me getting here, but let me just find my own route, find my own success, define what is success to me. So eventually, when somebody else is comparing what he or she regards as a win, when I define my own win, it's not going to be based off what you think your win is. You get what I'm saying? It's going to make me different. The way I speak, the way I write, the way I perform, everything that makes me different is me. That's why I started off by saying we are more of the same persons than we differ, but I don't look at them in any way like, oh, I wish I could be doing what they're doing. I appreciate what they're doing. That's why you actually know about them. So it means whatever course or journey they've embarked upon is taking them places, and if they were not unique in their own way, there's no way you would have heard about them. So it means the same way they chose to find their feet and find the rhythm. I'm doing exactly that at my own pace, at my own time.
Absolutely. And that's dope. So that brings me to this next question. There's none like you, right? Because there's none like me. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So none like me.
that's
I
true.
you know, you just kind of summed that part up. But just getting into the song and just how it all came about. First of all, it was produced by Jospo, right? And you also worked with
Yeah,
Faith Taylor on this, right? Did I say his name correct?
yeah,
Did I pronounce it correct?
her name is Faye Taylor, and Jospo is the producer. Yeah,
Faith.
you said it correctly.
Yeah, yeah. So how did this come about? Because, like I said, you just explained it, but more. I want you to go a little bit more in depth with this because, first and foremost, it's a catchy song. You know, it's a little different from what we're used to over here, right? Because right now you got the trap beats,
Yeah,
that's tearing it up. But that's that which is what you would say is era music, right? So you know that
yeah,
it those not trap. I'm sorry, drill music. Drill is gonna go out. It's
yeah,
almost on its way out, right? But
yeah, that's
it's so
true.
none like me is a little different. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different. It seems like it's a happy song, but you're actually telling the people, nah, nobody could do what they do. They do what they do, but it's none like me. And you just explained. So I
Yeah.
just want you to go a little bit in depth with that.
So you see, this is actually how I make a lot of my songs. I
Yeah.
don't make music to an already, let me say, an already made beat. So if I come to you now and I say, Ellis, I want to make a song, we start off a conversation. I tell you I want to make a song not like me. I tell you the kind of mood we're trying to, create. And that's where it all starts for me. Especially the guy I work with on the song Jospo, he understands everything I say to the letter, especially when I'm trying to explain how we want to make a new song. And that was what happened when I went to him and we had a conversation about this song. So now, rather than it being a braggadocio, something speaking like not like me, like I'm bragging, no, it was more about me telling you first that there is none like you. That was why in the song I said something like that, like exactly, there is none like you and there is none like me. So it means I'm
Right.
telling you to be unique in your own way, and I know that if I mask that message under just a regular beat, like a regular drill beat, then you probably pay attention more to the beat than the lyrics. I'm more of a lyrical person. I want you to listen more to the lyrics than what anything else I'm probably saying on the song, especially the beats now. Not taking anything away from the producers, but I want, because now we're in an era where people gravitate more towards the beat of a song than even the lyrics of the song. So the song could be
Right.
empty just because the beat has a drive to it. And I made the song, and I went to another producer who is also a very good friend of mine, Dr. Jazz, and feeling like some missing gaps.
Salute to him.
And this beautiful lady, Faye Taylor, walked in. That was a very beautiful moment. She walked in, just trying to come and maybe see the producers well, and she heard what I was making. And, she was trying to, maybe like sing along, type of lip sync kind of thing. And she kind of cut the song quickly. And I just passed her my phone. Like, do you want to, like, do you want to do this? Like, I can see you already, like, in the vibe. And she maybe took like 2 or 3 takes and she nailed it. And and I kind of explained the message to her as well. Like, oh, this song is about this. This is what this message is about, so that she can actually
Yeah.
understand how to actually convey the emotion on the song. And that was how we made the magic. And Dr. Jazz kind of helped me mix and master the song, and it was a wrap.
Salute to Dr. Jazz. I mean, and the thing about it is, right, it's very important for you not to follow the trend in order to get your point across, right? Because like I said, we have the drill that's come from London, and now a lot of us have adopted it over here. But this song is more radio friendly, if you will, and
Yeah,
that's what makes it a project that you want to make sure that you nurture and keep pushing. And that's the reason why we put it in rotation over here, because hopefully somebody else will get into it. I pass it off to some of my DJ guys, like, yo, just throw this in your mix real quick. You know what I'm saying? This guy's from Nigeria. You want people from Nigeria to listen, right? That's the point. This is the point. It's a win-win situation. You help me as I help you. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So with you doing the importance of making a radio-friendly record, that's genius, man. Because a lot of people are trying to follow a different route.
Thank you very much for saying that, and thank you most. Not that's not a thing I take for granted. I make radio friendly music not because I'm looking for like cheap fame or success. I grew up listening to radio, so I don't know like anything. I don't know so much about, let me say, making like something else. So all my life, this is what I had consumed. This is what my instinct tells me to do. This is the market that I intend to take this radio music to. One, because I've actually learned a lot about writing radio friendly music. Now it teaches you vocabulary, it teaches you language, it teaches you grammar, it teaches you age. Like now you're making music for a wider audience. Let me say age 4, 5 to 65 in infinity. So it means you must write something that a youngin can listen to, a toddler can listen to, they can grow up on it, a youngster can listen to it, they can share with their friends, an adult can listen to it, a grandpa can listen to it, grandma, they can listen to it. Now that helps you to actually understand that you're not speaking to people who are dummies now. You're probably speaking to people who are grown, people who can make their own decisions, people who have kids, people who are working, people who are working out. I'm trying to cater for everybody at the same time, like in a very subtle way, whereby you're not leaving anybody out of the message. You may not get the message instantly, but along the line, you would get it. Maybe when you grow into it, or maybe when somebody who has grown into it passes it on to you, and you'd understand why that person actually recommended that song to you or that artist to you eventually. So I know it's going to take a while for people to get it, because these days now, because of the availability of the DSPs we have out there, you don't need to listen to this hip hop to know what's up. So you can listen, but that would actually fizzle out after a while when you actually maybe start making babies and kids and family, and you want something more family oriented and stuff like that. Then you start being selective. You don't want your kids to listen to some certain kind of stuff so they don't get influenced the wrong way. Then you become more conscious about what you actually consume as a person and as a family. So that's what actually got me into being very conscious about what I say and how I say it.
Oh man, that's incredible. That's incredible. A lot of times what you also could do is make sure you do a challenge, right? Make sure you do a challenge with people dancing to the hook of the chorus of the song, because if they're doing hooks on TikTok challenges, that's going to actually get people into it. Ladies, I urge you guys to remix, do the song with the TikTok. None like me, because ladies, we know it's none like you when you guys are dancing. And this is also like once radio friendly, but what he said was very important. Family friendly as well. So it's family. The kids could do TikToks to it, and also it's not going to be a dated song. When you have a song that's just like dated, oh, that was for that era. This can span across any era because of the message that's within the song. It's encouragement.
Hey, that's true. That's true. That's true. Man. I intentionally, don't limit myself to a certain sound that is within an era, so it doesn't die within that era. Because the message could be dope, but like you said, if the message is enveloped in a drill beat now, someone may just listen to like the first 10 seconds and say, this is drill. I don't want to do this drill thing no more. And the message is actually there, but I don't want to put myself in that kind of box. I don't like that.
Absolutely. it's never good to put yourself inside of a box, man, because once you box yourself in, that's where you're gonna stay. And your core fans, the fans that loved you for that, are always gonna want you for that, you know. And that's the crazy part
That's
about
true.
it. Um, so with
That's true.
just your accomplishments, what's your ultimate goal? What would you say your ultimate goal is?
To be successful at what I'm doing, that's one. And two, to be able to collaborate with as many people as possible in different
Mhm.
fields now. Not only in music now, like in every field possible, because I want to be known as an artist that grew into other areas of life. You know, this is a journey, and starting the journey is one thing. Then meet who have their own visions, but we can work together to create magic in their own field, in my own field. For example, now if I run into someone who is into, let me say, making holograms and stuff now, and we
Yeah.
share an idea that's big. Somebody who is like a movie producer or director that's making magic on TV. Someone who's into fashion that's magic in fashion industry. So it goes on and on and on like that. That's my ultimate goal, to be successful at everything that I do, and eventually to just remain myself and not lose my identity in everything that I do as well. Always bring an input in everything that I collaborate with anyone with, and grow and make sure the other brand grows as well. And that's it for me. Trust me.
Oh man, that's well said, man. Um, so another question is, if you had two artists, dead or alive, that you would want to
Yeah.
work with, your two of them, dead or alive, that you would love to work with, who would they be?
Mhm. I have like tons of artists that I listen to. So this is very tough. And let me pick them
It's a
in.
tough question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll do one male, and one female. For the
okay,
male,
there you go.
for the male, I would genuinely love to do something with someone outside hip hop. Just just so it doesn't become the monotonous thing. And the one artist that I knew I gravitated towards the earliest in my life was Michael Jackson. He he did so much for me growing up, especially when it came to dancing. I think I could dance my ass off just because he could dance the way he could dance. And and to pick from the female as well, to pick somebody more recent, so I don't go back to the dead now, since it's dead or alive. I would
Okay,
love to, let me say, work with like a Beyonce now. One, because
okay,
I've actually seen her make music with people outside like the pop and R&B. She made like an Afrobeat album, and that's not the thing a lot of people would do. That's like a risk for anybody to just do. So for that
yes, sir.
conscious decision that she made, that one decision she made is a win for me. I mean, I'd always loved her for what she did or what she has done and what she's doing, but doing that one body of work, a genre that is not even as, and she's not like a co-founder, she doesn't owe them any like collaborations. Working with
Hmm.
her is, she has introduced a ton of producers and artists from Africa to like a market they probably never imagined. So for that alone, she earned my spot for dead or alive, someone I love to work with. So it's Michael Jackson and
Oh man.
Beyonce. I
Okay,
know
so look,
disrespect to everybody else though. I love
yeah,
everybody. I love a whole lot of people. Trust me on that.
yeah, but we only gave him two, y'all. So y'all can't don't penalize him for that. Blame me, not him. But what you did was you did a you went to the top and of we want to say pop culture, right? Because those are two icons. Beyonce is an icon in the making, and you know there's none higher than when you go to Michael Jackson, unless you're talking about the people that came before him, right? So
Yeah.
that's really that's a wide array, and it's also eclectic. So, bravo, because I would have probably said the same, but I probably wouldn't have said it in that order, so to speak, right? So
I
what's
understand.
next? What's next for you, man? What's next for you? Tell the people what you got coming next. Are you gonna do a video to None Like Me? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I'll be rolling out a lot of like first lyric videos that are important for me because I actually
Yeah.
want the lyrics of my songs to stand the test of time. So I would do a lyric video for Not Like Me, and after that I would make a music video for that as well. And in 2023, that's next year, which is around the corner, I'll be making an album. I'm still, contemplating should I make an EP, just to, sensitize the people a little bit, or should I just go for an LP? So whatever eventually choose, is going to work for me that way. But I'm making an album next year that would, be more of the same thing that I've been doing, but now in a more um in a way where I will try to, I want to get some Latin audience. I want to get some Caribbean audience. I want to get some European audience. I will make music that would, have a little bit of, let me say, the EDM feel that could, that's what the Europeans are really into. Something with a little bit
Yeah.
of, vibes. Then, just like a proper balanced album where there'll be something in it for everybody, and just see how that goes at the, let me say, mid next year or before the end of the year. It's I wouldn't want to call it an experimental album, but it's going to be an album that will be a lot of me in it, but using it intentionally to reach out to like a wider audience, just to keep
Okay.
my growing and keep my experiences growing, and hopefully, be opportunity to meet more DJs and more artists from those regions, and maybe make remixes and make new songs, and just keep it going like that.
Dope. Dope. So really quick, one more question before the last question. Over here in the States, we've been losing a lot of rappers to gun violence and violence in general, right? So I wanted to ask you, do you guys, do your artists, mainly hip hop, do you guys actually go through that where you are, or is it not? Is it not that type of vibe over there? Because over here, it's all about the entourages getting into it, and then all of a sudden, people are not moving with good security, and all of a sudden they're ultimately getting killed. Is it like that over there where you are?
Not at all, man. Over here, it's more love than hate. Here, the most you would get is maybe somebody just critiquing your work genuinely for what they actually feel. And we actually blessed that we actually have like gun control over here. Yeah, people don't walk around with guns. So it means when you have an issue with someone, or you want to settle your differences with someone, the first thing you probably use is words. At most, maybe you throw some hands, and that's where it's going to end. And it doesn't even get that far. Like it doesn't get that far. We are more into working with each other, supporting each other, growing as a unit, rather than getting into it over nothing. And sorry for the losses. You guys have had tons of losses. Trust me, one can count on like 100 hands the volume of artists that you guys have lost to gun violence, especially just in like what last 10 years. There are tons of artists that would have been great. Trust me, people that would have been great at what they do, and great businessmen, great families and stuff. And it's just sad that, and it's even sad that it's actually more in the black community. That's what makes it really
Absolutely.
sad. That it actually is black on black crime. I don't have any wish black people could just snap out of it one day and just focus on just the growth, the money, the family, the businesses, whatever, the legacy. Leave all that hate and jealousy and envy and all that kind of stuff. Just leave that behind, and make make whatever you're good at making. Don't let gun violence ruin families. It's really ruining families, killing talents, And it's going to get worse. That's the very funny part, because people feed into it. You know, I think what I genuinely think killed drill music was like in the post-COVID era, I listened to over 100 songs that were about dead ops. And I'm like, what is this? I'm so glad that that era kind of like fizzled out, like, you know, after like a while, maybe because, you know, there was a little bit of crackdown on needs. I realized in New York, there was like every crackdown on needs. Chicago, same thing. Atlanta, same thing. And I'm glad it happened. I'm not glad that those guys did not get the fame they wanted, but I wouldn't want that fame to come off somebody's dead. You're making music about a dead ops. Nah, man, that's not how to really use your talent. And I'm glad, you know, we as a people, it's becoming a conversation now. In the past,
Yeah.
it would be more of, yeah, my coast against your coast, my city against your city. But I'm glad everybody has felt one loss or the other. And nobody for example, now you're from New Jersey now. You wouldn't want a New Jersey artist to die all because you want to tell somebody, oh, we've got one of yours now. You wouldn't get anything
Right.
from that. And I'm glad we have realized that after too many losses, even though it feels like we didn't have to go through those many losses to wake up, but I'm glad we have gotten to a point where this is an awakening now for everybody. It's not a conversation that people genuinely want to have and say, what is this madness? So sorry for the losses, and I'm glad it's a conversation we're having now, and I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. Nobody wants to lose anybody, all because of a misunderstanding, something that could have been settled with an handshake, with a hug.
Absolutely. That's what we got to take accountability and get out of the slave mentality, guys. I mean, you know, we just because we're in America don't mean that we have to be of America. Now, the last question that I ask everyone, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
Whoa, that's nice. One, I want to be remembered as Keybone, firstly, because I believe that I'm unique in my own way. That's what I want my name to be remembered. My name is very important to me. I want my name to be remembered, or I want to at least be associated with where I come from, that I'm an African. So nobody writes my story and says, this is Keybone and is just a citizen of the world. I don't want that. I want to be remembered for my name and where I come from and my impact, my contribution to the legacy that was left by tons of great DJs and artists and creatives, and my input as a person, and with everybody that I worked with. I want everybody to get their flowers the same way I'm getting my flowers. I don't want it to be about me now. It should be about me, the Jospos, the Imosnes, even my friends now. You see, the funny thing is, a lot of my life is being shaped by my friends now, my environment. So I'm not me alone. I can be Keybone, but Keybone is like I'm like a voice for like, we're like a 200 million population country. So this is one voice that's speaking for like 200 million plus people. So in as much as I know these millions of people, I know that it's not about me. I'm only a messenger for these people. And it's not even about me now. It's remember me for the people who sent me on this journey of mine. And as long as you can remember me and my people, I'm good. There'll be more messengers after me, and they don't even have to come from my lineage. Many people will listen to my music and they'll be inspired by my music and they'll say, oh, I picked up this craft because Keybone did this. And that's all I need. And for me, that is a win, a big win, as a matter of fact.
Man, I love that. I love that. You know what? That was well said. You see it in the comments. The people are loving what you said because it was true and it's from the heart. I definitely really appreciate you coming on and giving us this interview. Since we've been playing your music, and we're going to continue to play your music, you know, anytime you want to come on and introduce anything new that you got going on, man, just hit me up, and we'll go live, man. We'll even play some of the joints live, and you know, make it a
Thanks,
movie. You
brother.
know, definitely, I
Thank you
really
very much. I
appreciate.
appreciate it.
Oh man,
Same
and
here. God love. Thanks for the love.
oh, absolutely, absolutely, and let your people know, you know, hey, get in tune with This Is Hip Hop Radio. Let them follow this. Y'all, if you guys are not following This Is Hip Hop Radio, please follow it. We will give you guys the call-in number if you can call in to the states and request Keybone's music, so you can run up the numbers so he can get so his BDS sound scans can get registered, y'all. I really appreciate you. And you know, before we go out, man, I want to just say thank you once again for allowing us to, you know, have you on our platform. And definitely, man, stay safe, man. Stay safe out there. And we're gonna close out with this record.
Thank you very much. You too, stay safe,
Introduce
brother.
your
And thank you.
yes, sir. Introduce this record real quick.